His rocking hat. If this was the 90s, he would be all that. It's me, my Scotch, and I. 'Cause Obie is the guy. Obie is the guy.
Good evening and welcome to Me, My Scotch, and I. I'm Obie Spencer, and we are on the Spanish Sports World Network, Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember, download that Zingo TV app from the iOS or the Android App Store. The app is free. We'd love for you to go ahead and rate it. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku and Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 and forward. Our show is broadcast on 4 continents and over 35 countries. You can find me, My Scotch, and I on Facebook and TikTok and YouTube. And Twitter, I'm just Scotch and I, as shown right there below my picture. Today, for our season finale, I'm really excited. I'm going to be joined by one of Spanish Network's very own, Rob Daniels. Rob has been a radio personality for over 20 years. Yeah, like I say, it's a show here on Spanish Sports Network, and he just became a published author. He'll be joining us momentarily, and when he does, we'll get to talk to him about his book. So where do we start today with two great sporting events having gone on? We had the kickoff of the Olympics, and the Cleveland Guardians were announced. Very excited for the people of Cleveland to have their new team, which of course is their old team. They stuck with the same font. I thought that was kind of smart. And they introduced a new character really in the Guardians. Most sports teams, we get these new names, and there's something somewhere someone is using in some way. The Cleveland Guardian himself is actually a statue on a bridge heading into Cleveland, and that is what the name is based on. The logo, I happen to love it. It looks like Thor's helmet from the latest Thor movie with the short earpieces, and it surrounds a baseball. Now, we know it's a baseball team, so maybe you don't need a baseball. I think there's some people in logo design who could argue that. I'm not an expert, but I think it would have been cooler if it was the face of that statue. So those of us who are not from Cleveland have a sense of what a Cleveland Guardian is. But those of us who aren't from Cleveland are going to get the baseball instead and be prepared. The other big universal worldwide sporting event that kicked off today was the Olympics. We had the opening ceremonies this morning. A lot of talk about the drones that were used. That's certainly becoming more and more common, using drones along with fireworks and lasers in these shows. I'm nervous about the Olympics. It seems to be holding on by the skin of their teeth at a time when the total world is holding on here in 2021. As we try to make our way through the end of this pandemic, we've seen whole teams, whole countries withdraw from the Olympics. We're seeing various people getting ill in the Olympic Village, which is scary because we do know that they're getting this new variant. It could spread quickly if those athletes have chosen not to get vaccinated. And so we have no idea how long we're going to have Olympics for. Hopefully we get through it all. There's some real events I am looking forward to. Love the wrestling. Want to see how Jake does. Followed him when he was in college in Cornell. First man to win 4 NCAA championships in 4 different weight classes. So that want to see how that is going to transfer over to the world, and especially the Olympics. Huge cycling fan. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out, especially after the Tour de France. We had that, and now we're going to get to see how these guys' legs and cardio holds up, and what that's going to look like. Hopefully, that sport gets to happen. Of course, there is the American basketball team, which has looked as shaky as a team can look heading into the Olympics. Can be argued that the best player in the world is not an American, and definitely not playing for the American team is Antetokounmpo, who just won the NBA title. And the Americans are going to go on the back of Kevin Durant. Now, he is getting a few pieces flown in, and Drew Holiday, Kevin Booker coming over. They're tired from the championship runs or losing championship, depending on which one you're talking about. But they should come and hopefully bolster the team. We have a game against France coming up. And we're going to see. French is going to be able to take Rudy Gobert, sit him in the middle in a way he can't do in the NBA, use his size and his amazing defensive ability, and see if they can slow down the Americans or stop the Americans. American also took a huge loss to the Swedes in women's soccer. And then the team also had to take that loss as well as the loss that they had in fighting for their wages. So I don't know if they're mentally going to be there, but we're going to find out. Looks like, okay, that isn't Rob showing up yet. I thought he was here, but we'll continue talking about Olympics because one of the bright spots for America, though, is their softball team. That is looking as strong as it's ever looked. Have 2 nice wins under their belts, so that's nice. Japan's taking advantage of being the home team in the Olympics. They're winning, winning soccer games, which is always a good sign for the home team, even with not fans there, to get a win early in a sport that they're an underdog in. Probably will bode well. Let's just take a moment, though, and go back and look at the actual images that were released of the Cleveland Guardians. Here you go. You can see it. Some small changes, some big changes. So it's real nice. You can see here the C image for the Cleveland is slightly changed from the original Cleveland Indian to the Cleveland Guardians. And in the word Cleveland, also a change in font. But the Guardians, where it used to be Indians, that font has stayed. And there, as I said, is the Guardian baseball. I am so torn on this because I do love it. Reminds me of the Patriots logo a lot. And I like it. It's showing the motion, the speed. It looks as strong as you're going to kind of make a one-image logo look. Like I said, do we need to make it baseball? Really, I think it would have been cool if we could have those statues that are on the bridge somehow incorporated, since that's what gave the name. Now, I guess the earpieces or the wings, they are that statue. That is for sure part of it. And, I'd love to hear how Rob feels about that. I think he's about to join us. We may not have visual for him. Oh, there he is. Rob, welcome. We're happy to have you on board. And as you can see, we're talking about the Cleveland Guardians. I know you're a big baseball fan. And so let's roll with this. How do you feel about the new name, new logo? What are your thoughts?
I don't really have an opinion fully on it. I think that someone will find a way to be offended with this as well, is what I have to say. Someone along the way will find in this new era that we live in something offensive about this. We are in a very much a cancel culture society nowadays. It's happening in baseball symbols. And listen, I don't disagree that it shouldn't happen. If people don't believe it, it should be that, and we're more sensitive to it nowadays. If that's what it is, I understand. I just no matter what, you're not going to be able to please everybody. And I'm more of a Blue Jays fan than anything else. So I'm more focused on what my Blue Jays are doing, and it's nothing against your question. I'm just more so this was sort of, I saw this in the news today, and I'm like, I'm still more excited about the Blue Jays coming to town. I can't wait till they're here July 30th, and hopefully we can get more fans into the ballpark on this side of the border. I know you're coming from the US angle, so it's all good. But I guess I've just more so been following the Blue Jays side of it, just because I'm so excited to get the boys back here and playing in Canada again.
And speaking of the Blue Jays in Canada,
yeah.
Now I'm following on paper and seeing the highlights. What is it going to be like for Vlad at the new stadium? Because right now Vlad is one of the 3-4 best players in the game. Is a new change of scenery going to hurt him or help him? What do you think?
I really hope it continues to help him. He's I think it's not even going to matter to him in terms of which ballpark he's in. He's just going to smash the cover off the baseball no matter where he is and whichever team he's playing for. I'm so thankful he's on our side here. So it's going to be interesting and exciting. I've reached out to my cousin as well, wanting to go watch the team again because we're excited to see them back here in Toronto, and hopefully we can see him hit a home run onto the Gardiner Expressway. That would be something else, I tell you. That's our main highway just around the stadium. So that would be nice, and and just to see baseball back on this side of the border and some normalcy would be great as well. So yeah. Are you much of a Cleveland fan though? Then are you? I guess are you in?
I live in the Philly metro area, but I am from the New York metro area.
Yeah.
And the one team that I have not yet been lost from is my New York Mets. So no, I am not an Indian fan. I am a Met fan. It is the last holdout from my New York life, and well, we have some good stuff going on as the Mets for the Mets right now, but we all, as Met fans, are expecting to crumble at any moment. So that's the life of a Met fan.
Wait, I think your Mets are playing my Jays tonight, aren't they? In New York.
That sounds about right. That may be true, and I'm sure
Yeah,
Vlad will do what his dad used to do to the Mets, and break hearts and hit home runs.
Hit some home runs. Yeah, that'd be nice. I would love to see our team get back to the postseason again. So it's exciting. I'm so happy to be here. Obi, thanks so much for having me. This is your Me, My Scotch and I show. I love the background. I've never actually been able to see your show outline in a sense on our new way of accessing the link. So I think it looks fantastic, and you did a great job at this. Did you design it?
No. This was done by our production team here at Spanglish.
Okay.
They did this for me. I have a few other screens and logos, some by Spanglish, some from a friend. But when the network makes it, you use what the network gives you if you like it. And this is one I definitely like.
Yeah.
We met the first time a few months ago on your show, The Sweet Spot.
Yeah.
How did your show come into existence here? From radio to TV, how did that sort of come about?
Thankfully, it was all started throughout quarantine. To be honest with you, some miraculous, incredible, visionary things came to life throughout quarantine, which I'm so excited for. The show being one of them, the Sweet Spot memorabilia, autographs, and more, and it came about that way. And it actually, the title of the show was the idea I sort of came about with. They say sometimes you do your best thinking in the shower, and I wanted something more than just a vague the autograph and memorabilia show, and what was more me in terms of personality, because of being an autograph and memorabilia collector, would have to be called the sweet spot, because of my favorite thing to do with autographs is getting a baseball signed on the sweet spot by someone whom I think is worthy of signing the sweet spot. And that doesn't have to be only a Hall of Famer. It could be, a really good Blue Jay. It could be an actor. I still dream of having, Kevin Costner from Field of Dreams sign the sweet spot of a baseball and put some inscription from the movie on it. That would be awesome. I've had the father in that movie sign the sweet spot of a baseball, Dwyer Brown. So all that kind of, it could even be the, fun other actors that have nothing to do with baseball to sign the sweet spot. Sometimes you think maybe Robert De Niro could sign a baseball. It's all random. I like, obviously artists or how would you call it? Baseball elite athletes. Anyone I find worthy, again, is who I'd want to sign the baseball there. So sweet spot memorabilia, autographs, and more. The memorabilia part of it is quite explanatory itself, and then more being anything else you want to bring to the program that has to do with autographs. Or it could be that you have a great experience. It wasn't necessarily getting autographs, but perhaps you met an athlete that you have a great experience that you'd like to share about. And that's how I sort of gauge the show in that realm between autographs, memorabilia, and more great opportunities of meeting your favorite athletes. So it came about through quarantine, and I couldn't be more happier to still host it every Tuesday at noon on this same very network that you've been hosting on. And it's a great network. Shout out to Eduardo and the team at the Spanglish Sports World Network and the Spanglish World Network. And you do a great job as well. And by the way, your Mets did beat our Blue Jays. I'm seeing now from our production crew back in the studio. They defeated the Blue Jays 3-0 tonight.
Well,
yeah, that's what it is. You guys got us tonight.
That's it. What's one game at a time? So
yeah,
you were saying all that. So I got a question for you about the sweet spot. You're a Toronto man. I would imagine that you have at least some warm feelings towards Kawhi Leonard or some of the other Raptors. So if you ran into one of them, do you give him a baseball or do you give him a basket? Like, is it like, I know you're a basketball player, but I collect baseballs?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a tough one, actually. I think to me, in that sense, I would probably avoid that situation, because I'll be 100% honest with you. I'm not much of a basketball collecting autograph memorabilia kind of guy. It's more baseball and hockey. So would I want Wayne Gretzky's autograph on the sweet spot of a baseball? I think that would be kind of cool. That would be interesting. I don't necessarily want those ones, but I would definitely consider taking that into my collection. But hey, all the power to the Raptors for winning that championship a couple of years ago, and hopefully they can continue to put a valuable product on the court. I know that they've been struggling of this past season, but hopefully it goes in a positive direction. I think basketball is not really my collecting per se, but I think other areas are more so hockey, baseball. But for yourself, do you collect basketball or what?
My collection is not very sports related. I think it's I think we talk about Star Wars and whiskey, but if I had only had a baseball and I ran into Embiid, I'd ask Embiid to sign a baseball. Although I think Joel Embiid holding the baseball in itself is worth a picture, because I'm sure that looks like a golf ball in his hands.
True. Yeah. Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
On your show, you interview lots of great people. You talk about lots of interesting memorabilia. Is there anything over, I guess it's probably been almost 12 months now, or 6, whatever that is. Yeah. What's the one piece that somebody brought to you that just it stuck out. It stood out, whether it was I want that or I never would get that, but wow, what a brilliant thing. Like whatever that is, what stood out for you that you saw?
That I saw. That's a good question. Jeez, testing me here. Would probably not necessarily one piece I can pinpoint, but it's a fellow on my show that I have regularly on my program. His name is Bogsy, and he's from Kirkland Lake, Ontario, and he is the biggest Habs fan I've ever seen and biggest collector in terms of autographs and memorabilia I've ever seen. He's given me views of his inside of his home, and it's decked out in you want to talk about a man cave. This is more so like the entire house is a man cave that he lives in, and all along the walls is just incredible memorabilia from when the Habs, the Montreal Canadiens, winning the Stanley Cup from years prior to '93, and Mahavlich photos, all kinds of Steve Shutt, all different kinds of old Habs signed pictures, 8x10s and jerseys, all along his house. And I asked him, quite frankly, how he can do this. How do you come up with all this memorabilia? And to him, I don't think he's ever paid for an autograph, but what he does is, in his spare time over the years, he has found ways to write to certain athletes, and it's become a thing for him where he takes a gamble with it by either mailing it out, or he'll call ahead of time and he'll mail it out to arenas or baseball stadiums in hopes that he'll receive it back. And he usually sends items that they don't, how do I want to say this, that are very unique pieces that it would kind of feel like it would be a little mean or upsetting if the athlete didn't send it back, because it's one thing if you throw a baseball in the mail and you want it signed and you don't get it back, but when you're throwing like an 8x10 of yourself with, let's say, Wayne Gretzky in the mail to Wayne Gretzky, and you don't get that back, or it's like, or maybe it was a piece of his, or it was an authentic shirt that he once gave you, and you wrote it in a letter saying you gave this to me at an arena in 1985, and you don't get that back. That's kind of sad, but so that's what he sort of does, is he sends them out, all these types of this paraphernalia and memorabilia that is so close to him and his heart that he a lot of the time gets it back. And you're taking a gamble a lot of the times, but more often than not, he is winning that part of his hobby. I would say he is certainly winning after seeing that. So it's really cool, to be honest. And shout out to him. I've had him on my show quite a few times, and I can't pinpoint. I really can't. I would, if I could bring him on right now, I'd love him to just show the entire house on his camera. It's really something else. Blue Jays, Habs, all kinds of, American athletes as well. He's quite the collector, and I think that's amazing to have that kind of fascination and bring it to a new level with his hobby. So if it keeps him happy, then that's a good thing, and out of trouble too.
Absolutely. This show can be heard on the Spanglish Sports World Radio Network. Please check out https://spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish Sports World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. Also, you can find full episodes of my show on Me, My Scotch, and I on YouTube. You'll also get individual clips of our games and drinking segments, as well as be able to find the podcast, Drinking from the Garden Hose. Rob, I'm going to take this moment to thank you. So this is my season finale. I'm taking the rest of the summer off.
Nice.
My dream for this show was to get to interview somebody who was on the press junket for publishing a book. And here you are. I mean, it's just, I'm going out in style. I truly appreciate it. Now, your book, see if I can make this work.
Wait, are we allowed to do? Hold on, I have this all point. When are we allowed to do this?
Oh, do not worry. We
Tell me
will
first.
get to that. I promise you that. But first, we're going to get to this.
Wow,
Beyond
look
the
at
mic,
that. That's
I
on
got it
your
on my
iPad.
iPad.
Eh?
What was that?
That's on your iPad, eh? My father wants to see this. My dad's in the background. He wants to see you holding it up. Wow, look at that, eh?
There you go,
have it
Dad.
on your iPad. Where are you holding that from? In Philadelphia right now?
In Philadelphia. I've downloaded it. I've read a few chapters. We'll talk about some of the things we read. I did not read Mom and Dad. I apologize, Dad, but there it is on my iPad. Absolutely.
Amazing,
Awesome.
amazing. So that's the ebook version. Thank you very much. I appreciate you putting that, and that looks so cool. Because that's literally the press image is the media image is what you just showed right there, and I have which is so awesome. So thank you for showing it off like that, and I hope you've enjoyed what you've read so far.
Well, 2 chapters caught my attention, and unfortunately, the one I read in full was about your time in America, and it did not make me feel good. It was heartbreaking.
Okay.
But reading that what you experienced in one semester in college reminded me so much of my grammar school, middle school life.
Mm-hmm.
So for better or for worse, it was an instant connection. Although I didn't lose what you lost, although you seem to be able to take it in stride. But knowing how it panned out, and we're not going to necessarily. We'll see how much. I don't want to give too much away from the book, so you know how much to give away. But seeing how it panned out, do you think if you weren't injured with all that was going on, you might have stayed through and persevered, having given your speech and said what you had to say, and maybe having the air cleared?
To be honest, I don't think I would have returned to that school even if I was healthy. Because I came back that summer, and I still remember my thought process when I came back that summer. I played one more summer of competitive baseball, and it was rep baseball in the local town I lived in here with my parents. And it just didn't feel the same. I was turned off of just playing baseball. And I think it wasn't that I wasn't that because I love baseball, and I don't think I ever lost the love for baseball. But I think what started happening to me was I fell out of a clear goal process with going to the United States to play baseball there. It was like a goal, and I had to try and reach it and touch it and continue on with it. And when I felt confused by coming home, I got confused as to what my end result would be as an 18-year-old, as a baseball player, student athlete. There was some sort of level of confusion in my mind as to what I should do with it. And I felt that there was nothing I could really hold on to say, okay, in September, I'm going to go back and try out for this team or that team. It kind of just felt like the dream was actually over at that point. And it really was, because I was injured, and I could still play a little bit when I came back. But to go on further and then to do the whole thing all over again, try and find another school out there, it felt like like Mount Everest to climb, to try and get back on the horse and go to another school. So I'm one of those people, when the dream is fulfilled, which it felt like it was, there was like an alteration of it, and there was a lot of challenges there, but ultimately I did what the duty was to go and play college baseball in the United States of America. Depending on how it turned out, that's what I wanted to do. And coming back to start analyzing, going to go do it again. First of all, I don't think my mom would let me go back at that point, because that, a very concerned Jewish mom, after something like that goes down, I don't think there's over her dead body would she have let me take another flight to go try and play at another American college. And and I would have really tried to fight that if I thought that's what I wanted to do. But it felt like I got it out of my system what I needed to do. Try and play college baseball in the U.S. I experienced it. I really got a taste of it, even though I didn't experience an actual real inning in a game. It's nothing compared to what, like, if you're not there experiencing what college baseball is or what sports is, the training aspect, it's unbelievable. The difference between different sides of the border in the United States, the training, you eat, live, sleep baseball there. When I was there 6 days a week, and to even playing scrimmage games, I was still facing college pitching. And I don't think everybody really understands what it's like to be a starter and let alone a star on a college team. Like, there's 30 players on a college baseball team, and only nine guys start. And I was the third stream second baseman out there. That's how tough it is to get to the top. There's a guy from Hawaii that was our starter, backup second baseman from Texas. And here's this kid from Thornhill, Ontario, Canada, in the third string of second basemen in the row. I also played a little bit of the outfield too, but I was a freshman, and it was expected that you weren't going to start much. You were lucky if you got one start. And before all the racism ensued, I redshirted, which meant I tried to save a year of eligibility, let alone knowing that I didn't know I was going to not come back the next year and go through everything I had gone through. So I traveled with the team. I played with the team. I just didn't see a real inning, but I was playing baseball 6 days a week. It was still incredible. And to be around the guys, other than the stuff that happened, it really felt like American baseball, the way it was supposed. I expected a drill sergeant for a coach, which he was, and he was a good coach. I mean, it was really tough on you. One of those coaches that make you run foul poles if you're failing a grade, and one of those coaches that is not going to let you play if you're not doing well in the classroom. And he was tough but fair, and it was very much an experience that I don't regret. I learned a lot from it. I grew as a person. I'm being able to tell this story now, 20 years after the fact. I've also told it briefly in certain parts of the world as well. So it's something to pass along to others, and to perhaps learn from it, how I didn't handle the situation, how I did handle the situation. And it's a story that a lot of people can relate to. Let's just put it this way, because racism has been in the news for a lot of the time over the last year or so. And maybe this is a story that can help someone that is going through something similar, and that they can somehow learn from that experience and handle it in their own way that or similar to how I handled it. And perhaps there's a lesson or two there that they could take with them to perhaps learn better, or rather to solve that problem that they might be experiencing, whether it's racism or not being accepted for their sexual orientation. However they don't feel accepted, stand up for yourself. And that's what the chapter is about at the end, is to finally stand up for yourself. So it was an experience, but I liked to reflect on it. I like getting uncomfortable sometimes. I think we all need to do that. And that chapter was really a lot about that.
It was a hard read, and
Yeah.
I got through it, and I started to read the next chapter.
Yeah.
And I read maybe 3 or 4 pages of that chapter, and you have a meet cute with your wife out of a romantic comedy. And
I see.
an older man comes and says, I've been talking to that young girl, and she's into you. And you ask her out on a date, and then we won't go into the details again, I want people to read the book, but you have an embarrassing experience. And I got to tell you, at that point, when I read the book and saw that, my thought was, yeah, but what he doesn't remember, and she probably knows, is that when you were embarrassed, the real you came out for the first time, and that who you were, you couldn't put up fake you, first date you, it was real you. And I just think her seeing that bit of you for that 30 seconds while you're probably on the ground, I'm imagining cleaning up, making it all
Yeah,
neat.
yeah. Because it
This
was
guy is awesome.
Yeah, I don't mind giving away that part of the book. It's essentially, I had spilled coffee all over the place on a first date, and klutzy and clumsy, however you want to put it, in that sense. And and so she saw the real vulnerable me, and she still put up with me and gave me a second chance. And I dive deeper into the weirdest way I take her on a first date. Maybe that you'll read in the book. It was so very weird. But it was what it was. And we've thankfully kept one another company all these years, and she's been through a lot. I talk about that in the book as well.
Before you get to that, I just need to interrupt you. I apologize. For those of you from New Jersey, you need to read it, because you'll understand if you're from New Jersey what I'm about to say. He took her on a Weird NJ first date. That's what he did. He looked in Weird NJ, found something, and said, "Hey, you want to do a Weird NJ?" For you, Weird NJ is this magazine, fanzine, that lists tons of sites just like you took her to.
Okay.
And when you're in your 20s in New Jersey, you pick up Weird NJ, you find out where you're going to go, you do what you did, and then you go to a diner afterwards. So you went to Starbucks in New Jersey, we go to a diner, but it was a Weird NJ date.
A Weird NJ date. Okay, there you go. Learn something new every day for how you explain it there. That's cool. I know. And listen, it was it was weird, and maybe the weird ones stick around. That's what I tried to spice it up. It was so that's a lot of that chapter is reflecting on her and how we met. And there was a guy that introduced us, and it was you read it. I mean, and I don't want to give it away to anyone that hasn't read it yet, but essentially that chapter is of praise towards her and how we met. And essentially, again, going with the title Beyond the Mic, what is it that you don't know about my wife, my life, but how I can try and be influential to help you with that, with learning more about my life. And so with her, she's battled a lot with thyroid cancer, and that's what she had. And I reveal it in there, and I go into detail of what that is all about and how it sadly rips away at certain parts of your livelihood by no longer having a thyroid. We think sometimes cancer's cured or taken away, but it can always grow back, and there's side effects and symptoms that it leaves behind when you don't have a thyroid anymore. So thankfully, she tries to not let it be the best, let it get to the best of her every day. She tries, but someday it's like anything else. Like what I talk about in the book too. Some days the symptoms win. Some days she defeats the symptoms. And the same thing when I talk about anxiety, obsession, and depression. Some days you have bad days, and the anxiety gets the best of you, and some days you feel like you're in control. And it's about management. It's about doing the things in life that you need to do in order to win the battle. So trying to get the amount of sleep that your body needs, which I do need improvement, according to my mom, who might be listening in the other room and might say you don't get enough sleep, Rob. And that might be true. Or if it's other ways of doing it, if it means meditation, then if you're not, it's about controlling the controllables is what I'd like to say. So you don't get a good night's sleep, then you got to try and fight back. Okay, so make sure you meditate, make sure you go for a 30-minute walk or get some sort of exercise in so that you're taking care of your mind and your body and your spirit. Make sure you eat well, make sure you intermittent fast. That's what I do. I try to do all the things I can control so that I can live well in the moment daily. And I'm not perfect for what I eat, but I try and practice discipline daily by using these tools like intermittent fasting and such which helps improve. I find there's a mental aspect to your day by incorporating it into your daily repertoire. There is a lot more you can get accomplished. There is more focus, I find. Your thoughts are more vivid in terms of your ideas. I mean, I would have to probably credit intermittent fasting for all of these brilliant, I would say, ideas of writing a book, of getting an autograph show, being able to stay focused in the moment with guests such as yourself. And these are all things attributed to how we incorporate our daily habits into our lives daily. And so, like I have said, I'm not perfect when it comes to my eating, but I try and I'm making up for it in other ways. I will not eat for 23 hours at a time. Some people will have a different opinion of that, and I don't force it on anybody whatsoever. If they don't think that fasting is for them, if they think, oh, you're outrageous, Rob, why would you only have one meal a day? It's really what's going to be the best for that individual. So that's when I write, and you can probably tell in my writing, nothing is forced upon. It's more like, what have I gone through? What can I teach through the pain I've been through the triumphs as well? And it's more so giving that person, the other people on the other end, the option to learn from this and be a student of it. It's up to you. Attitude is everything, I kind of go with. And if it works for you, amazing. That makes me the happiest person in the world. At the end of the day, if people can take something from this and it makes them a better person, and they use some of these tools towards their own daily lives. And if it's not what they want, or it doesn't work for their body, fasting, or whatnot, in terms of managing anxiety, then that's okay too. You have to do what works best for you. And that's what I try to preach always. And I just feel like over the last little while, I've developed quite a few monk traits, in the sense of living to ask myself, why am I here every day? What is it that I'm supposed to be doing, other than just being a human being? Is not to live for myself only. I'm a big believer on self-care yourself, so that you can take care of others. And that's what this book is. So it felt therapeutic in the moment to write, but the end of the day, the better result is the others aspect. If you can influence as many lives positively as possible, that's the outcome I want. And it's a win-win, because it felt therapeutic to write, and I have this accomplishment that can hopefully help others. And I'm grateful that I've had some really fantastic friends already reach out and tell me how they really enjoyed the read. There's a lot there to take in. There's a lot. There's stuff that is hard to read, for sure. It was uncomfortable to write. So I get it. Yeah.
All right. So I have a few more. You covered the two things I most want. I have some questions about your wife and the cancer.
Sure.
I have some story and some intermittent fasting questions. But before we get to that, let's grab a glass of one of these to start with. Looks like I grabbed the Apothic Red first.
The Apothic Red. Okay. Yeah, we got that. Sure. Right. This one. Yeah.
Yeah.
There we go. There we go.
There you go. These were chosen by you.
So I wanted to know, what is our plan for this? We're just kind of like pouring a glass and we're just going to drink?
Well, so the thing is with the whiskey, I have kind of learned how to taste whiskey. Now, I smell it. It's the same process, but I don't always know if I have the right words for wine. So we just talk about it like we know what we're talking about. It's like the rest of life, kind of fake it till you make it.
Is this a good amount? Is this okay?
Yeah. We're not going to chug it all. Usually what happens is I end up, I have a second glass, and then when the show's over, I finish both the drinks with the help of my lovely wife if I need to.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
All right, so this is a
nice vino.
Yeah, a little pretty fruity.
Yeah, smell.
cherry, maybe.
Grape-ish a bit. Grape.
Yeah. So.
Should we try it? All right.
Yeah.
Cheers. Happy
Cheers.
Friday. Okay. Goes down nice. You should have the glass too.
I like that. I've got a lot of flavor.
A lot of flavor there?
A lot of flavor, a little. Now the bottle says mocha and vanilla. I don't taste that. I taste like, but it does. I taste like blackberries and blueberries, very strong berry type fruits.
Yeah.
And it has a very nice mouthfeel. So, what about you? I know you said yeah to some of those fruits I was describing.
Can't really. I taste just more like grape, a regular like an everyday red wine that you would have with like your steak, veggies, and potatoes. I don't know. Is that like at a steakhouse?
Yes, yeah. It's like Manischewitz without the sweet, but it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you Jewish?
Yes, I am. But you're not supposed to ask that.
No, everybody's accepted on this program, on this network, but that's cool. Hey.
Yeah. Absolutely. You missed the earlier questions because you were a few minutes later than expected about your stage name. But
yeah. Oh, we can talk about that. Sure. Yeah.
But I have a question for you about your wife. So my wife, also battling cancer, has beaten cancer.
I'm
but
sorry.
like you,
what kind of cancer?
Yeah, like you said, you beat the cancer, but then there's all these other things that are there.
Yeah.
And you say for sickness and health, but when you say that, you're marrying a young person and sickness is a cold.
Yeah, exactly. Boom.
Has that like affected, and it's working for you like it's working for me. You figured it out. But that is the advice, and then maybe it's in the book that you gave, maybe it's not, that you would give somebody how to be the healthy spouse in a situation such as that.
So is that the question? Sorry, how would I? So
how do you be the healthy spouse? How do you? That's hard. It's something that people don't understand. That can be hard to be that caretaking, healthy spouse. They get what the person might be fighting, but they don't get that sort of what it's like to be that partner and go through it with them.
And that's what's interesting. It's really difficult because you've got both of us with invisible illnesses or conditions, health conditions, hitting heads with one another because we both don't know what it's like to be in one another's shoes, and we both probably don't want to know. And it becomes this thing where it's mind over matter. That's what it's about, a mind over matter approach. So I don't think I'll ever get used to a lot of some of the symptoms that she goes through on the daily, but I can tell that she tries her best. She really does, and it doesn't help when you have certain situations when a child presses your buttons, and for her it's more so the child. So imagine having a child press your buttons when you don't have these issues, and then now it's on steroids. It's magnified times 10 because you have these symptoms of not being able to control the agitation and being in heat environments, and so it regulates so much the thyroid. And I try my best to try and live a life where I can be there for her in the moment as best as possible by not living for me. It's kind of taking the selfishness out of it. So if you live a life where you are trying to please your partner every day and not what have you done for me lately, that is, I would say, one of the best ways to try and the best mindset you can take into a marriage so that you can it can excel and try and last many, many years, because it shouldn't be about you all the time. Yes, both people have needs and such, but that your mentality is always out to try and please the other person no matter what, and you're trying to live a life of trying to please them in many departments, right? Like trying to help with your child, trying to understand where they're coming from. But if it's always about me, and you're selfish that way, then it's not going to work. So I try my best to practice that daily, is to always give my life, to dedicate it towards being a good person, and that's the only way I find that it works too, because it's sort of like a mind twist that you have to play with yourself. Even if she didn't have that, I would still be out there trying to live like that with her. It might be a little bit easier, but this is certainly a way that it helps me manage daily with some of her symptoms, some of my symptoms, that no matter what I'm going through, the mind over matter, just trying to be there for her and live to please rather than hoping to be pleased all the time is what I sort of strive for daily with her.
Excellent. To that, let's try the Woodbridge to celebrate.
The Woodbridge, yeah. I know you have like about 4 minutes here on the show, right? Let's try the next one. Okay.
Yeah, that's okay. We'll get through 4 minutes.
Yeah. So here's this one. Woodbridge is the town that my wife and her entire family reside in Canada. There we go. That's nice. So a lot of Italians, I tell you, man. The other week when they won the Euro Cup, I couldn't get home. Because they won the Euro 2020, and I think more Italians live in Woodbridge than they do in Italy. And it was packed when they won a couple weeks ago. I had to come to my parents' area because I couldn't get home. It was so slammed with traffic because they were celebrating, and rightfully so. More festa, the better. That they deserve it, especially anybody who's celebrating in these times and what everybody's gone through in the last 15 months. The more celebrating, the better. Everybody needs more good times, right? Than bad times.
Sure.
But so tell me a little bit about, because this can be conversational as well. Like your wife, I hope that helps with some sort of advice for your wife and what you're going through. I mean, the cancer, did it? What kind of cancer did she have?
She had kidney cancer, and she lost function of one kidney. They had to remove the other one. They lost function of, and now at this point, she's actually gotten a transplant. So we have to work around what does that mean? How does that? It's better than when she was on dialysis, but there's still some things in life that are difficult. In your book, you were talking about lyrical, putting weight on you. Well, yeah. You should see what prednisone does to somebody.
Gosh, what's it called?
What?
What's it called? The medication?
Prednisone. It's a steroid, and that's a constant weight battle. But she has to take it to keep the kidney. So it's these things that you have to do. You have to manage, and then as a husband, you have to be there for her to help her get through these battles as they are, and help other people understand those battles. When she used to be able to eat whatever she wanted, and now she can't. And someone's like, but I made your favorite food. Well, it no longer is. And you have to present those battles. So that's not the happiest way to sign off, but we only have a minute left. So I think that's how we're going to have to sign off.
Yeah. No, but I hope there's ways you find managing to live well with her.
Absolutely. We are enjoying every day to its fullest. We are doing what we can, which is a lot. And it's more than it was. So absolutely. We love it. We love each other. We have 2 children who have grown into it and understand what it all means for their lives. And now they're becoming adults. And they have the advantage of having known what it's like to not have to, they know, both of them know the woman that they marry versus the woman that they're spending the rest of their life with will not be the same person the whole time. That those people will change, and they have that expectation, which I think is healthy. It's not something I expected. I thought the woman I was marrying was the woman who was going to be the same woman for the next 65 years. And
It doesn't work that way, right?
It doesn't work that way. But she's a better woman than she ever was, and she'll continue to get better. Of that, I'm sure. So
Yeah, makes sense.
Salute to my wife.
Yes, cheers to your wife and you and your family and you on your last show. I'm grateful you chose me to round out your final show with, and I hope you come back to the network at some point. Take the summer off, enjoy that, and hopefully we cross paths.
I'm not leaving the network, just my show. Friday nights is a hard night to keep. Yeah, I'm going to see you on Tuesday.
Okay,
Scott. And
we're doing the show with Scott, right? Yeah, Tuesday night, 8:00. Yeah. Sounds good. If you don't mind, if I could give the quick plug, you showed it on the ebook. I'll just show the paperback version right here. If you are interested, anybody to get the copy, paperback ebook available for purchase at Amazon.com and Amazon.ca would be much appreciated. Maybe something to read this summer at the cottage. Or on your back porch, any kind of support would be grateful. And write me, let me know what you think. Honest opinions, welcome, all that fun jazz.
Thank you, Rob.
Thanks for having me. All the best to you and your family. And we'll see you Tuesday night with Scott on the other show that you guys host for sure.
Absolutely. Take care, everyone. Have a great night.
Yeah, enjoy your weekend.
It's a show with Obi and his rocking hat. If this was the 90s, he would be all that. It's me, my Scotch, and I. 'Cause Obi is the guy. Obi is the guy.